Hey everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey meow. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. Monthly chart of CleanSpark. It's been forming higher highs and higher lows, and looks like it wants to potentially form a higher high. This is the monthly chart. The wells are in, very, very strong. Even though the price gone sideways, it's just been kind of oscillating. But the wells never left, and they came back in for the month of June. Very nice. Ichimoku cloud gives you a couple of lines here, which is the blue line, which is the Tenkan, or the leading line, or the conversion line, whatever you want to call it. And the red line over here called the Kijun, or the baseline, whatever you want to call it. You had a bullish cross over here in February 2024. And since then, price has been oscillating between the resistance up here, which is the Ichimoku cloud, and the support down here, which is the Tenkan and Kijun line. And it's just been ping-ponging for about 5 months now. With this ping-ponging, the wells never left. So all of these are very much of a favoring of bullish continuation. It's just that it went way too far, way too fast. And I'll show you what I meant by that. It went way too far, way too fast, and it just needed to cool down. There's another way to look at Ichimoku cloud, which is the Super cloud. You look at Super cloud, also been ping-ponging between the bottom of the cloud over here and the Kijun and Tenkan. And you also had a bullish cross over here in March 2014. Right now, price looks like it wants to break inside both the Super cloud as well as the Ichimoku cloud, and looking like it wants to really do that at some point soon. Now, if you look at what happened, why didn't we just keep on going straight up in February, March, even though things were looking very, very bullish? Well, there's a reason for that. First of all, you're hitting very strong monthly cloud resistance, and secondly, you're also getting way too far above the upper Bollinger Band. When things get way too far above the upper Bollinger Band, a lot of times you're not getting punished for it, so sometimes you correct either through time or sometimes you correct through price. Over here back in January 2024, we decided to correct it through price. And over here in the month between March and June, we decided to correct through time. And during this correction, the Bollinger Band continued to expand. It looks like the upper Bollinger Band wants to keep going up, and the lower Bollinger Band looks like it wants to keep going down. So very, very nice Bollinger Band expansion, very nice whale momentum. Looks like the magnet is going to be the upper Bollinger Band, and there's a potential for it to kind of shoot over that over the next few months. The upper Bollinger Band currently right now is 20.36, so that's probably going to be maybe a little bit of a magnet price for the end of June. It can even potentially overshoot that depending on how much bullish energy we have, or it ends up consolidating sideways a little bit more inside the Bollinger Band, which is fine too, but I have a feeling that that's going to be a magnet, which price probably end up closing around 20.3 or something like that, which is going to make it close back inside the Ichimoku and the Super cloud, which is a bullish development. Again, whales never left, right? Looking at a couple other things here too, which is going to be the 2 week, and it's going to give you a little bit more clearer picture in terms of what it's been doing. You look at 2 week Ichimoku or Super cloud, basically it's just been bouncing, trying to test the upper part of the Ichimoku cloud as support. So far it's finding support, and so far it looks like it wants to go up higher because it's back above the Tenkan. You'll see the Ichimoku cloud, very same thing, right? Initially it was kind of ping-ponging. It fell underneath of it, tested the Kijun, and it looks like it wants to bounce back above the Tenkan, which is rising. So all these are very, very promising. Look, if you look at it weekly, you can see why price ping-pong sideways. Initially it tried to use the Tenkan as support, unable to do so, broke back down below, because there's actually a little bit of bearish divergence over here. Now the bearish divergence has actually been working out with the RSI. I can show you, but what happened in the past is the past. As price went up, RSI went sideways and went down here a little bit. Bearish divergence needed to get worked out. RSI way overheated, needed to cool down, right? Have we cooled down sufficiently? Yes, I think so. Right now, the weekly RSI is at 60, and whales are in again. Looks like it wants to be ready to go run up higher again. It was stuck between this range between the Tenkan and Kijun here for close to 2-3 months now. And because it's been ranging, and because it broke above the range over here, it looks like it probably wants to go higher from here. If you look at the Bollinger Band, something that's very remarkable with CleanSpark is happening is this thing wants to blow up higher. You know why I say that? Because the Bollinger Band is squeezing very, 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 very hard. It's just like you go to a cooking class, I suppose, and you look at people kind of, baking cake, and they're trying to put frosting into the cake, and they're using these kind of pastry squeezy thing. That's exactly what it's doing right now. It's giving a little bit of squirt right here. because the 20-week moving average and because this bull run support band is pointing up, the support is probably squared up. You know, if I think, you know, if there's a direction I'm going to pick, I think it's probably going to end up squirting upwards, right? Also, why do I think that's the case? Well, if you look over here, the whale momentum is there, right? 20-week moving average is pointing up. There's really no reason the thing is going to squirt down. And I think this squirting is probably going to happen pretty soon. Maybe in about the next week or 2 or 3, but when it happens, it's going to be pretty impressive. Looking at some of the other support and resistance level, I did a little bit of Gantt square. Again, I'm no Gantt square master or anything like that. I basically just try to do this and trying to touch as many lines as much as possible. And I came up with this, you know, particular Gantt square over here. What you're going to see here is that you're really just bouncing back inside the arc and just been oscillating inside the arc here, and also trying to get over some of these Fibonacci retracement level from the cycle high and cycle low. And what it's really doing right now is trying to consolidate, and maybe wanting to break above this range and try to test the top of the arc right around there, which is going to be 22 bucks. That's going to be strong resistance. Once it breaks about that, you're talking about 26, 27. Once you break about 22 and 27, whoo, you're talking about maybe in the 70s. So what are some of the confluence zone up here on some of the higher targets, right? You want to ask, if you are asking, I don't know if you're asking or not, Ichimoku cloud, where's the top of the cloud? Around the 70s zone, right up here, right? So if it is able to get over these resistance zone right here, and 0.618 is going to be a golden range, so it's going to be pretty strong resistance here, around 26, 27. But if it's able to break above that, whew, it can get up to like around 70, 80, somewhere around here. Top of the cloud, bottom of the arc. Right? Very, very potential, nice potential. You have a lot of consolidations happening, a lot of whales are already in. Once this thing moves, once it's able to break about this resistance zone here between 22 and 27, when is that going to do that? Is it necessarily going to do that? I don't think anybody knows, but I certainly favor that it probably is going to do that. And what happens if it is able to break about these arcs up here too, right? Maybe give another year, potentially, who knows? If the bull market continues to go higher, if Bitcoin continues to go higher, you're talking about potentially breaking this arc here, and maybe even get to this line over here, which is going to be around 135. That could be the cycle end. Do I think it's going to end up hitting up like somewhere crazy up here in the 400s? Probably not. I suspect the cycle end is probably going to be around 136. It could even hit some of the higher level, wake up above to some of the higher levels up here, 140s, 150s, 170s, possible. But I have a feeling it's probably going to end up ending right there. If it goes higher up to here, whew, oh mama. Okay, we'll see. So that's CleanSpark. Done talking about CleanSpark. Here I'm going to talk about the next one that I own, which is going to be Mara. What is going on with Mara here on the monthly chart? Well, so the Ichimoku cloud is still stuck in a range, but whales are coming back in. And you see that the Ichimoku cloud, you have the Tenkan Nikkei line, is basically starting as a very, very strong range over here that currently price is getting stuck at, right? The Tenkan line up here is going to be around 20.63, which is going to be a very important level to break above. If you look at the Super Ichi cloud, which takes into account the super trend, you can also see that clearly stuck in a range over here, like big bouncy ball, like it's just stuck in a range, right? Trying to break above the zone up here, which is going to be around 24. If you also look at the Bollinger Band, you can see the Bollinger Band is originally have some initial expansion over here. It looks like it wants to continue to expand, and I have a feeling, maybe for the month of July or so, the upper Bollinger Band is going to be serving as a magnet, so probably going to be around 27 range. It's probably going to be breaking above the 20.63, the 22, 24 kind of resistance up here, get up to 27. That's what I'm suspecting, right? Monthly Ichimoku clouds all the way up here at 42, but if it doesn't hit up here, it isn't hitting up down here, it might be around 27, 28, somewhere around there, right? Something to think about. You can turn off the Bollinger Band. Going to look at a different time frame here. Look at the Super Ichi cloud. Again, stuck in a range, right? Look at the Ichimoku cloud on the 2-week chart. Again, stuck in a range. It's stuck underneath this Kijun line over here. The Kijun line is around 20.63, confluent zone of resistance, right? Trying to break above that for about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, for about 6 times 2 weeks. So it's been stuck around here for like 3 months now. It looks like it wants to break above. It just hasn't really done that yet. It's just, unfortunately, it's just still battling resistance, unlike some of the other miners that I'm showing you. Look at a weekly chart. A couple other things. Again, looking back to the Ichimoku cloud here. Something very, very interesting has happened. It bounced into the Ichimoku cloud, Looks like it wants to bounce higher. This candle over here, this hammer candle over here, certainly looks like the bottom for Mara for this downtrend. It looks like it's probably going to end up going up higher. I think this just needs time to kind of accelerate, kind of like it did over here. It just needs time to kind of accelerate. And that's kind of what I think Mara is doing right now. Whales are coming in slowly, not anything crazy, but it looks like the trend overall is still there in terms of bullish momentum. Looking at Bollinger Band, it's not squeezing on the weekly like CleanSpark is doing. It still looks like it's kind of stuck underneath the 20-week moving average. It's trying to reclaim the bull market support band, which is basically what a lot of these big miners are doing. But so far, it's just kind of stuck inside a band, again, stuck in a range, right? That's the moral of Mara. That's the moral of Mara, is that it's stuck inside a range until it breaks out. But I think we did find a bottom over here at this big, nice hammer bottom candle. Looking at some of the other things, I'm going to pull up my GAN here. Again, I'm just basically drawing this GAN based on the, like a best fit model. And what you're going to see here with this particular GAN chart on the weekly is that, again, it's still stuck underneath a strong resistance of Fibonacci level is 22. And above that, it's going to be around between 33, like basically you're talking about the mid 30s all the way up to the mid 50s. That's going to be like around the target zone right around here. A pretty strong resistance confluence over here. We'll see whether or not price has enough energy from this sideways for about 5-6 months to see if we're having enough energy kind of push for about this strong resistance zone up here. Again, it's going to be around 30s, 40s, and 50s. Potentially pretty strong resistance zone up here. Once it breaks about that zone though, again, I want you to be a little bit cautious because you have strong resistance coming ahead. Once you're able to break about the zone over here though, it could potentially hit up to like the 200s, maybe 220, somewhere around here. If it ends up hitting the arc as time goes on, it might hit up less than 200, it might end up hitting like 190s, 160s, right? Or even lower. But that could potentially be the target if things end up kicking above all of these resistance over here. If it doesn't end up getting over these resistance over here, then it might be the cycle end and we might not make a higher high, we would just keep going down, high, lower. But so far there's no indication that that's going to be the case. Again, looking at a weekly chart, whales tend to be in right now. That's Mara. What else am I going to look at? Let's look at Bitfarms. Bitfarm, I like to think that this is like a little bit of exaggerated Mara. And right now Bitfarm is leading Mara. It actually broke above the 0.236 whereas Mara still has a hard time really breaking above that. Bitfarm did it in a hurry. It broke above the very, very strong resistance zone here over here with confluence resistance around 2.5. Is there a break above that? Once it breaks above that, you're talking about some resistance up here, 3.8, 4.8. Is there a break above all that? You can get to like maybe like $7 in a hurry. This is also like Great Masby was, my friend Great Masby was talking about too. Whales on the weekly coming in very, very, very strong, right? Looking back at the monthly chart here, I'm going to show you the Ichimoku cloud on the monthly. What are you going to see? Well, you're going to see it broke about this range over here. Again, this is ahead of Mara. Where it's going to go next? Probably going to go to the bottom of the cloud right here around $4.5, $5, somewhere around there. If there's a push about, it could get up to around like $7 around here, somewhere up here, right? Nice bullish cross over here that happened around April 2024. Whales are increasing back up again. Very, very nice trend here. Look at the Tsubichi cloud. Looks like it was originally stuck in a range over here. It was able to maybe potentially break above the kitchen line up here to potentially break the range. Looking at the Bollinger Band is touching the top of the Bollinger Band. It looks like it's like basically it's using that as a magnet. It looks like it wants to expand a lot higher over time. So most likely next one you're going to end up getting up about to some of the higher levels up here. Probably end up closing next month or two about the Bollinger Bands based on what I'm looking at. Right? If you are looking at the 2-week chart, you look at the Tsubichi cloud, tells you a very, very interesting story. We're right at resistance over here around 3.1, 3.2. How strong this is resistance, I don't know. It did look like we got rejected here twice, about a few months ago. We'll see whether or not we're able to break about this range, right? Looking at the Ichimoku cloud, we're just kind of somewhere in the middle, but we're reclaiming the Tenkan. It looks like we want to go higher. Whales are coming back in here on the 2-week chart. Now, looking at the weekly, you can clearly see that it didn't even touch the Ichimoku cloud, but it kind of got close to it, and it wants to just bounce up higher, right? Right now, price got back above the Tenkan and Kijun. Looks like it just wants to keep going higher. Whales momentum is strong, right? If you look at the Tsubichi cloud, looks like we have a bullish cross over here too. It looks like price also above the Tenkan and Kijun, above the cloud. Kind of basically going back down, broke through this cloud over here. Let me show you here, broke through about this Tsubichi cloud over here on high volume. came back down, back test on decreasing volume, and ended up getting bought up on higher volume. Went back down over here on declining volume, and right now on the bounce, you're on going up on high volume too. So all of this right here looks like reaccumulation range. All of this right here looks like the well has never really truly left. And it looks like hip hooray, we might end up going a lot higher. What's going on with the Bollinger Band? Well, this is one that is actually expanding here on the weekly. Looks like it wants to potentially push up higher. And Bollinger Band is also expanding too, so most likely in the coming weeks, you're end up going to allow price to go up even higher over time to kind of hit the potential targets up higher that I think it will hit. What are some of the targets about? Well, first of all, you're able to break above a very, very important zone up around here, which is around 2.5. Right? We just talked about how important it is. And I also mentioned that some of the important numbers here, the bottom of the monthly Ichimoku cloud is going to be around like 0.5 Fibonacci level, which is going to be around $4 to $5. Above that, you're talking about anywhere from like 6s and 7s and 8s. That's going to be an important resistance zone. If we end up getting up there, great. If we end up getting up there and get rejected, then that could be the end of the cycle, right? Which would be a lower high compared to last cycle. If you're able to break above this resistance zone, you're talking about hitting like 20, 25, somewhere up here. That's what we're talking about. Depending on when it gets up there, right? If it ends up getting over here, you might end up getting into the low 20s. If it's getting up here, which is probably not. I mean, it's not going up there in a hurry, right? Probably going to oscillate around here, trying to break about this resistance and end up going up there. But if you're not getting up here, you're talking about like the low 20s could potentially be the target for this cycle, which is not a shabby gain, if you will. Turning off the GAN, turning off all this drawing that we have, then we go to the next miner here, which is CIFR. CIFR is CIFR mining. This hasn't been around for that long, but right now we're right at very important resistance. You can clearly see this. You don't need to be a trained eye to look at this. You can clearly see that this whole zone right here is resistance, right? The orange line that I'm drawing here, you can clearly see that around 550 is a very, very strong resistance zone that's been trying to break above. Good thing is it's trying to knock, and really trying to knock above this more frequently and more harshly. And you also have a little bit more tensing in support coming up higher, right? So this is actually a very, very bullish look in terms of what CIFR is doing here on this chart. Ichimoku is broken. You had a bullish crossover in January 2024, broken above the Tenkan line over here. Whales are slowly coming in, right? So that's a good sign. What about Tsubichi Cloud? Well, it's still supposedly still stuck in the range, but it's using Tenkan as support to try and push price up higher. And that means that eventually it's probably going to end up going higher. What is the Bollinger Band doing? A little bit contracting, but the 20-month range is curling up and looks like it wants to expand the upper Bollinger Band up higher with price to allow it to go up higher over time. Again, so far looking pretty decent. What about the 2-week here? We can pull up the Tsubichi Cloud. It's just basically reclaiming the Tenkan. It looks like it wants to go higher after it breaks about this resistance range up here. What about the Ichimoku Cloud? Well, it's also kind of stuck in the middle here. But it's trying to get above the Tenkan Kijin. You have a little bit of bullish cross back over here. So it looks like it probably wants to go higher. When's the next resistance? Maybe like around $7 or $8 based on the Ichimoku Cloud, right? We're going to show you what other indicator in terms of showing you what the potential resistance up here would be. Looking at the MCDX plus into the well momentum over the last couple of weeks, huge well momentum. Even the price just not really going anywhere, right? It really looks like it wants to break above this zone right here. That's what it really looks like to me. So looking at the Tsubichi Cloud, above the cloud, right? Got underneath of it, got back above, back test, up, right? If you look at the Ichimoku Cloud, also broke back below the cloud, went back up, back tested. Looks like it wants to go up higher and break above this zone over here. You look at the Bollinger Band, what is it doing? It's squeezing a little bit. And it looks like the boring support band has just been flattening, and is trying to go back up here again. So I think that this is trying to break back above. It is actually probably one of the best looking chart that I can see in terms of the energy is trying to break above the zone, is really absorbing a lot of supply above. It's looking pretty decent. What about if I do a couple other things here? Look at the GAN square from the bottom over here. What are we going to see? Well, you can see that the price hasn't really been around for that long. IPO price is around $10, right? So what you're going to see here is you're going to see that price is really just gone from the bottom and breaking one arc after another, got rejected over here at this horizontal zone and the arc right here. and it back tested the arc underneath. It's able to find support. It looks like it wants to challenge this arc up here again, together with this horizontal zone up here again. If you're able to break about 550 convincingly, you might have a little bit of a back test. But then you're really talking about going up, in a hurry, around $8. That's, just like I showed you on the 2-week Ichimoku cloud, that could be resistance, right? And they could potentially end up going to like around $10, which is the IPO price, which is going to keep getting pretty close to the 618 level over there. Once you're able to break about $8 and $10, you can get up to some of the ARC levels up here, maybe in the teens, right? You're talking about, maybe around like 17, 18, somewhere around up here. If things really gone crazy, if you're able to break above the zone, again, if you don't break above the zone, I think that could be the end of the cycle. But you're able to break above the zone up here, you can potentially get to some of these crazier price targets up here, like 50s and 60s. That's what you're potentially talking about here. Is it going to end up doing that? We'll see what Bitcoin does. We'll see what the risk on sentiment does. I'm not saying any of this has to be rational. I'm just basically telling you what could potentially be possible. That's all. Looking at the IREN chart. IREN has been very popular. Most people started posting about IREN recently, although the OGs such as myself and many others that I know have been posting about IREN for quite some time. And IREN is what's hot right now because price just basically went from like $5 already to like $14-15. You're basically talking about 200% gain. Me myself, I probably have like maybe like 180% gain or something like that on IREN. Looking pretty good. I mean, this is basically looks like what CIFR is going to end up doing because it's just been trying to break about this $8 zone for a very, very long time. Knock, 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 knock. Break above, right? What's CIFR doing right now? Knock, 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 right? So we'll see what IREN's going to do. But right now, knock through this level. Got resistance up here around the arc right here, as well as around the 0.5 Fibonacci level, around 14.62, right? From the all-time high to the all-time low. That's the Fibonacci retracement level over here on the linear scale. 14.64, rejected right off there. Also rejected the arc right there, right? Is it going to break back above, or is it just way overextended? Is it going to end up going down lower before going up higher? Possibly. It's right now is like way outside the weekly Bollinger Band. So I'm a little bit worried that we might be a little bit exhausted. You also have a little bit of a tweezer top look over here. You got resistance. So it's probably going to come back down here and test some of the stuff. Where is it going to go? Is it going to test the 0.382? That's it. 11.42. Is that going to be where it's going to go? And it's going to end up trying to push up above. Is it going to go all the way down to $8 and back test? That's not anything that's surprising. If it ends up doing that, that's still going to be a bullish trend, right? Could it go back down here and wait for the 20-week move around, which is kind of push the price up higher? Possible. Regardless, this is a bull trend. Bollinger Band completely expanded. Whales are in. You're just hitting some very strong resistance up here. That's all. Okay. Gonna move back up to the monthly, kind of give you an idea in terms of what it's doing. Getting a little bit busy. I'm gonna turn off my GAN. What is it doing? Well, the Bollinger Band is completely expanded downwards. Whales are in. It's way outside the upper Bollinger Band, so it's a little bit risky, right? But overall, this is a very, very nice beginning of a very, very strong bull trend. Ichimoku Cloud, bullish cross over here for the month of June, right? Kijun got underneath the Tenkan. You have a bullish Tenkan Kijun cross right around here, right? What about the Subichi Cloud? You reclaiming the Tenkan, which is a important thing to look at. Look at a 2-week, look at Ichimoku Cloud. You don't really have a cloud form yet, but price is currently above both the Tenkan and Kijun. Look at Subichi Cloud. You also don't have a cloud form yet, but you have a bullish cross over here too on the Subichi Cloud. On the weekly chart, what are you going to see? On the weekly chart on the Ichimoku Cloud, again, it's just kind of way above. It broke above the cloud and it just wants to go higher. On the weekly chart, you can see whales are clearly in, although I do think things are a little bit too overextended, way too far away from the Tenkan and Kijun. So, if you end up buying here, you might end up having some short-term pain, most likely with some long-term gain. But I do think that things are looking pretty decent, especially this uptrend here with very, very huge volume. But we might be hitting a little bit of exhaustion zone over here, so be a little bit careful. A couple of things, again, Bollinger Band a little bit way outside, but whales are in. I do want to put up the RSI over here just to look at it. It's actually not looking too bad because you really don't have that much of a bearish divergence, but things are getting a little bit overheated now, right? You're talking about RSI around 80. It's maybe a little bit of short-term pain here. I'm not trying to sell out of it and try to buy down at 11. Like, I don't really care. I think this could be a pretty parabolic move. I'm not even going to try to guess because when things get irrational, it can get really irrational. And this is a bull trend, so I'm not going to bet against the bull trend. But if you buy it here, just be prepared that you might end up making a bunch of gain in a hurry, but most likely things probably end up going sideways for a little bit. Wait for the other miners to catch up, like Mara. Mara hasn't done anything. Waiting for some of the other miners to catch up, right? That's potential. But IREN is looking very, very bullish on a longer term. I was talking about like the next few months to a year. In the short term, I don't know. It's a little bit worrisome. Just something to think about. Then finally, I'm going to talk about one that's also very popular here amongst folks, which is a stock called TeraWulf. TeraWulf also has been looking very decent here. Looking at Ichimoku Cloud, I'm not sure. I don't think it has a bullish cross price just yet, but it is going to, based on the fact that this green candle is very, very green. It is going to have a bullish cross price in July 2024. It is reclaiming the Tenkan and wants to go up higher based on the Ichimoku Cloud. Looking at the Tsukuichi Cloud, it's still reclaiming the Tenkan over here, right? It looks like it wants to go higher. If you look at the Bollinger Band, maybe a little bit overextended, but both the upper and lower Bollinger Band are expanding, especially the lower Bollinger Band. So far this month has a big volume breakout and wellish momentum coming. WULF is looking very, very good in terms of the next 6 to 12 months. The other time frame, looking at the 2-week chart here, Ichimoku Cloud breaking above the Tenkan and Kijun. If you look at the Tsukuichi Cloud over here, breaking inside the Tsukuichi Cloud, looks like you're about to have a bullish cross. They're coming up pretty soon above the Tenkan and Kijun. Looking at the weekly chart over here, you can see based on Bollinger Band is really expanding very, very strongly. A little bit way outside of the Bollinger Band here, but again, I'm not claiming that things have to be rational, or I can just keep going up higher. It's always a possibility, right? This is also an example of what happens with when Bollinger Band is squeezing so hard, is eventually when it's squeezing up, it's going to expand. When it expands, a big move comes. Big giant well momentum coming. All of this stuff looking very, very favorable for this WULF chart. Looking at the Gann square here, you can see that it has had a very, very strong resistance level that has been stuck underneath this 2.88 for a very long time. And price just been basically knock. Again, this looks just like IREN, and this looks just like what CIFR is about to do. WULF is knocking, and the next thing you know, it wants to kind of break above of it and end up breaking above of it. I thought that the $3.2 could potentially be strong resistance. I was wrong. I mean, I was holding. I wasn't trying to sell and buy back lower. I was wrong. It just pushes through like it's nothing. Because it got back about the arc, it pushes through about this horizontal zone over here. The next stop's probably going to be up here around the arc, which is going to be around like $5. And then if it's breaking above the arc and it gets to the top of the arc here, maybe around $6, then you talk about that line up here around $7. If it's able to break above all that stuff, all that junk right there, and ends up going higher, you can end up hitting like some of the teens up here, or even this potential horizontal zone right here around like $19, and that could be the side of the top. If it breaks above that, it can go up higher to like 30. Do I think it's going to go up to 30? I don't know. I don't know. But let's just break one thing at a time. Let's see if we get. I have a feeling we're probably going to get rejected around the $4 or $5 zone over here, and end up going sideways, maybe along the arc down here a little bit before further bullish continuation. But we'll see. When things get really parabolic, things get really parabolic. Just like things get really parabolic here on the downside. When things get really parabolic, it can get really parabolic to the upside too. I'm just saying, like, just to be fair, right? Again, these are the 6 miner stocks that I do own. I do have a lot of miner stocks that are on my watch list that I do not own, but these are the ones that I do own. I just want to talk about them because I'm interested, because I'm having a stick in them, and I see things are looking pretty decent. I just want to share it with you. That's all. Anyway, less than 30 minutes. I think I did well with these 6 miners. Have a good one. Bye.